So Disenchantment Part 3 dropped recently, and as usual, fans are having a field day combing through every frame and mining out those sweet, sweet Futurama references. Now I did a video about this back when Part 2 dropped as well, but this video is going to recap all of the previous references, so I'm sorry if you've already watched that video. But as expected, there are a ton of new Easter eggs and nods to the world of tomorrow, so let's get to it. Spoilers ahead. Also, please consider subscribing. I talk about Futurama a lot on this channel, and if you're the kind of person who loves these Easter eggs, I think you'll probably like my Futurama videos. Thanks. The very first real reference we see to Futurama is early on in the series, Chapter 2, For Whom the Pig Oinks. We see Merkimer at the Royal Wigsmith, and here on the shelf is unmistakably Fry's hair. Fun reference, small reference, good stuff. The second confirmed reference comes in Chapter 10, when Lucy rewinds and replays events with this magical orb. If you freeze frame, you can catch an image of Fry, Bender, and Farnsworth in the forward-traveling time machine from Futurama's 6th season episode, The Late Philip J. Fry. An incredible Emmy Award-winning episode that I talk at length about in this video here. Check it out after this one. The other fun thing about this reference is whether or not it implies a shared universe between the two series, which is something else I've written at length about in my old Nerdist series, Animation Investigation. In fact, AV Club actually wrote a hit piece about this video a few years back because they hate fun, so you know it's worth checking out. Jumping to Part 2 of Disenchantment, they seem to really dial up the Futurama references. In Chapter 12, Stairway to Hell, we see a series of tubes used to transport Elfo from heaven to hell, which look remarkably like the tubes seen to launch people across New York in Futurama. Also in Chapter 12, King Zog, voiced by John DiMaggio, unleashes his fury with this nod to DiMaggio's famous Futurama role, Bender Bending Rodriguez.
Fight my shiny metal axe!
Pretty on the nose, but fun for sure. Actually, funny enough, in the Futurama episode The Inhuman Torch, Bender also says, "Bite my shiny metal axe."
Bite my shiny metal axe!
Also in Stairway to Hell, we have a couple things that people seem to think are references to Futurama, but I mostly think these are just coincidences. We see Jerry trying to smash bugs with a hammer, and he's told to aim where they're going to be, not where they are. This is obviously similar to the Futurama Anthology of Interest 2 segment, Raiders of the Lost Arcade, where Fry wants to know what life would be like if it were more like a video game. I see why people might think this is a reference, but honestly, that's just how you have to play Space Invaders, and how you would have to smash bugs with a hammer. It's that simple. But who knows? Stairway to Hell is written by Futurama showrunner David X. Cohen, so maybe it was a little nod to his old show. Another thing that falls into the coincidence but maybe reference pile is the fact that Lucy flies Bean and Elfo out of hell, much like Bender flies Fry and Leela out of robot hell in the first season Futurama episode Hell is Other Robots. Whether this is a coincidence or a reference, it's fun. The next one comes in Chapter 14, The Lonely Heart is a Hunter. We see Bean and Zog in the basement storage area of Dreamland's castle, and here in the background we see what looks an awful lot like a holophoner from Futurama's episode Parasites Lost, and of course its original series finale, The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings. Both incredible episodes. This feels like it was probably a fun little reference thrown in by one of the animators or background artists. In Chapter 18, we hear Zog throw out another line that Futurama's Bender is famous for.
Well, let's go already!
Definitely works well for both characters.
Let's go already!
The next couple of references come in my favorite episode of Disenchantment Part 2, Chapter 19, The Electric Princess. First is a hilarious deep cut. We see Bean open up a drawer on Sky Gunderson's airship to reveal assorted lengths of wire. Back in the very first episode of Futurama, Space Pilot 3000, Professor Farnsworth brags about the drawer where he keeps his assorted lengths of wire, and if you look closely, they're all organized the exact same way. This episode also features a little model of the Planet Express ship in Gunderson's shed, as seen here. There's also the fact that Gunderson is a brand name used in Futurama for Gunderson's nuts. I'm not 100% sure if this is a reference. The Simpsons also has a character named Gil Gunderson, so it could just be a funny name that the writers of these shows like to use over and over again, but either way, it's a connection. And the Gunderson airship's business in Steamland is actually located on Farnsworth Boulevard, a reference to Futurama's Professor Hubert J. Farnsworth, whose name is in turn a reference to the inventor Philo Farnsworth, a pioneer in television engineering. This fun courtroom gag also seems to be a reference.
Chairs with 5 Z's.
I think I've done enough court reporting to know how to spell Chaz.
This parallels Futurama's famous Star Trek episode where no fan has gone before, when George Takei is giving his autograph to Melvar.
Melvar has 3 L's.
I think I've done enough conventions to know how to spell Melvar.
Now on to the new stuff, Part 3. The first episode, Subterranean Homesick Blues, gives us a couple more nods. Here in the Trog Society's room of hoarded treasure, you can see what looks to be the Doomsday device that Professor Farnsworth built and used in the Futurama episode Time Keeps on Slippin'.
Doomsday device?
Ah, now the ball's in Farnsworth's court.
One of Futurama's best episodes, to be honest. Honestly, anytime we have a background with a bunch of stuff piled up like this, you should comb through it. There's bound to be references. Later in the episode, King Zog once again delivers one of Bender's famous catchphrases.
Let's go already!
Hard not to connect these dots with DiMaggio playing both characters. Next, there are a few more found in Steamland. In the League of Gallivanting Scrutinators, we see a picture on the wall of an explorer and a narwhal. Okay, maybe this is just meant to be a cool adventure-y thing for the Explorers Club, but it does look a lot like Lilu from the Futurama movie Bender's Big Score, which was an integral part of Lars Fillmore's story, who I also have a video about. Take a shot every time I shamelessly plug a Futurama video. Actually, don't do that, you might get sick. I also noticed the logo for what seems to be a delivery company called Airship Express, and yeah, that logo is very familiar, almost as though it's literally Planet Express, but in Steamland. This might have actually appeared in the original Steamland episode 2, I should probably go back and look. And the final Futurama reference I noticed is probably the best one. In the spooky ventriloquist dummy shop, you can see a dummy that looks suspiciously like Bender. Honestly, I want this dummy, almost as much as I want to tickle me Bender. And those are all of the Futurama references that I noticed in the first 30 episodes of Disenchantment. Now, I know there are some more things that people claim are references, but I think the similar animation styles just creates parallels where otherwise there really aren't any. No, I don't think that this kid is meant to be a reference to Fry. This guy in the pile of corpses definitely isn't Scruffy. You can actually see that his hair is different if you look closely. And this airship from the very first episode of the show was never meant to be the Planet Express ship. It was actually just foreshadowing the existence of Steamland. But if there are other references that you think I did miss, let me know below in the comments. Maybe I can put them in my video for part 4 whenever that drops. And of course, if you like this video, do not forget to comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and stay tuned. Peace.
Johnny! Two cellos!